There are characters in this journey which I would consider milestones. Blood, the ghost skin, Dan, and then there's him. A milestone nonetheless, but a far less interesting one. And oh boy, this was no easy feat. Maddie isn't necessarily my favorite character in the franchise, but writing for her and coming up with her design was difficult. The easy route would be scrap everything, build from scratch, a wholesale rework. And you look who would make my work easier? But I'm a DMC fan, and I know the feeling of seeing characters you like change way too much. Reboots often come with new designs and adaptations of the characters. Of course, those which we like and those we don't. Like I said, it will be easy for me to just redesign her from head to toe, but there is someone out there that loves this character. I'm just going to add some spice to the soup. The soupy question? Madeline Fenton, the doting mother and supportive wife to her husband, and the best combatant in all of the Fenton clan. You give her staff, a gun, anything she can hunt down and beat a ghost, probably another human too. But in this project, she isn't a ghost hunter yet. In the previous video, I made Jack an engineer. So I'm going to make Maddie a geneticist. Normally I would have an episode to help break down the character, but Maddie has one, I believe. And that is episode 16, Maternal Instincts. But that's more of a hair and Vlad thing. So I'll focus on that when I get to it. But we are going to keep all the traits of Maddie the same, just like I said, we're going to add some spice to it. Like, a secret she's been hiding from her kids. I reveal that along the line. As always, my name is Boss. And you are watching the Fenton Eidolon redesigns. So this is the first time I'm having a live poll and getting you guys, my YouTube audience, involved. As expected, the feedback was quite insightful. It helped steer the character design in a different direction than I thought it would be, but I am glad either way. I might be salty about some of the changes I had to make, but I am glad either way. Well, we came with picking up her face. Like I said, I created a post on my stories saying we're just gonna cast somebody, but no one mentioned. So I went a little bit crazy and got 27 faces down, which I had to narrow to 8, which was no easy feat. They were all good, well, mostly good. That was not easy. And then I realized something. All the references I used, I had to make sure Maddie had both pale skin and locked down her auburn hair with her violet eyes, which was no easy feat because the palette just didn't work at some points, and I didn't want it to become as pale as Sam. Anyway, now for today's fun fact. The last addition I added was number 8. Now, here's where the part of remaking the character comes into place. I initially wanted to make an original design and differentiate the character a little bit, but not use the same hairstyle. I suspected that if I gave that option, nobody would look at the other options and just pick that option. So I decided to make her look cold and not so friendly button. And I quote, number 8. Now that's the lady that hunts ghosts. 8. Vlad will never handle her. She has chaos in her eyes, but a sweet smile. Sweet smile. Number 2. She looks like she could handle kids. And another one saying that she reminds her of the cashier from 16. I mean, I can see that, but the votes came out. First round was numbers 1, 2, 6, and 8, but only 8 remained. And that was my cue to know that people wanted the older design with just a few touch-ups. Next was her body type, which Was quite easy since I just made 4 variations of basically the same look. A had a slimmer physique, B had smaller busts and wider hips. C, I just maintained the hips from B and just gave her a bigger bust. And D, I just made everything thick. The feedback was well noted. People showed their preference for A because it helped contrast her with Jack, which I couldn't agree more with. B and C were great because of the proportions as well. C was more of like an exaggerated middle ground, and D was just making everything extra thick. However, I came to my notice, and I couldn't agree more with that if D was more of a mommy build, she would have gotten picked. But I stopped myself because I wanted that contrast between her and Jack, which I believe I still could have, but I wanted an athletic build for a woman that is constantly fighting. Well, who knows how to fight? Now, here's where the divide happens. In making her official look, we got 4 designs. The problem stemmed from the fact that I didn't know what she'd wear. Previously, all the designs that I've shown were basically variations of the same look and same silhouette, with just a few modifications to the original. Characters like Danny, Jack, Jazz, and Taka all looked similar. The only character that had a massive change was Sam, and even with that, her silhouette remained sort of the same, with her skirt being replaced by an oversized shirt. But with Maddie, I was going to put her in the jumpsuit right now. So I needed to pick what she'd wear. So I came up with 4 designs. A was more laid back and casual. B was more of an all-purpose business casual look. C was more corporate super busy. And D was her in a lab coat. That's mostly motivated from the fact that I watched a telenovela recently called Overcoming the Past. And in order to make it look like she never leaves the office, I gave her bags on her eye, but I didn't make it look so serious. I just wanted her to seem really, really exhausted. So, usually, my Instagram followers tend to pick from a poll that I post in my stories. However, this time I posted it on all my socials, and I couldn't ignore the comments. So I tallied it up, and D won by a hair's breadth. The good news is that because of how I made all these outfits look so different, I decided to reuse them as her alt looks. I would love to design more clothes for Maddie. However, these look particularly too good to be wasted and thrown away. Now, onto the 10 sheets. I wanted to keep things simple, but in drawing sketches for her design, I wanted to be nutty as I usually do and came up with some poses. I drew a lot more than I should, and I wanted her to feel exhausted but perky, which resulted in some honestly cool poses. And some that I didn't know what they are. I'm looking at you, coffee drinking pose or whatever you are. I don't know. Something just came to mind and I just drew it. And then another one too came to mind. Her having like 1,000 yards stare for when she's down or like she's zoned out, and a death stare when she's hunting ghosts. Also, it was here that by coincidence, bear in mind, I didn't plan this ahead. By coincidence, Maddie ended up having Danny's palette. I know you guys would have said, Le boss, why didn't you just use purple for Maddie's designs? Well, my dear viewers, had I wanted a redhead in a white lab coat with a purple shirt, I would have just looked up impossible. Surprisingly, I'm made by the same guy. Oh no. Yeah, basically because of that, I couldn't use purple, so I had to use blue, which ended up letting her have the same palette as Danny. I promise you, this is just pure coincidence. I really wanted to just propose that maybe I could have changed hair color a little bit, but I like the fact that they sort of share the same palette. So. In expression of poses is where I finally figured out how I wanted her hair to look like. I didn't know whether the bangs should come outward or be sandwiched in between the bob and her bangs. So why not have both? In side view and 3/4 view, the bangs should pop out, and in front view, they sit in between her bob, right above her eyes. For those who didn't know, in the referencing phase, the face we ended up landing on for this design, number 8, was Cathy McGrath from Merlin and Supergirl. So I used a ton of hair expressions to get the character down, but trying not to make it look too much like her, because I don't know whether it's okay to use people's likeness to design their characters or not. Might be some issues there, so I tried to deviate small with it, but I just used her expressions. Well, as previously stated, Maddie is the doting mom, but can be a little bit ruthless when she's scolding her kids, scolding Jack, scolding Vlad. You get a picture. So I imagine her as the always exhausted mother who has to suppress her rage sometimes, but it just seeps out from time to time. Like I said, her condition is only temporary, but I'm going to make her look like she hasn't slept in 3 years. I just basically gave her the whole Gara treatment from early Naruto when Gara barely got any sleep, because if he did, he'd become a monster. But with how he's turned out, I'm pretty happy with what we got so far. Alright, if you have been paying attention to our previous works, I've been leading to this with somewhat hints about Mary's backstory and why she also wants access to the ghost one. Unless I was to be too big. Anyway, allow me to spin you a yarn about MADDILINE Fenton. In life, there are things that we tend to deem unachievable. Dream, career goals, or that one big project. And usually, there's always this huge reminder of what could have been, what we could do. For some, it might be your current position in life. And for Maddie, it was just one thing. A briefcase. You'd think it'd be easier to forget about your woes after a couple of years, but burning down a school building doesn't let the memory burn into your head. No pun intended. But surprisingly, up until recently, after her uncle died, Jack did approach her with the idea of reopening their old project by building a gate on top of a previously active gateway. It did sound very feasible, but it would take some time. But Jack said he would, and the evidence seemed a little bit compelling. And besides, what's a couple of months compared to 2,000 years? This is a closest thing to relief that she's had about that briefcase. A couple of months passed, and she was able to ignore the briefcase for a while. But after a year or two, it came gnawing at her. All she could do to forget about it was drown herself in work and provide for her family, hoping that Jack would be able to achieve this, be able to build this gateway. And after 3 years, at the end of it all, she's standing right in front of it. After all this, she's tearing down the steel gates and tubing of the Fenton portal, as Jack called it. In front of the kids, Jack handed her the briefcase again. Unlike usual, she opened it, and the feelings of hope and dread flooded her. What if he's there? What if he isn't? What if he's alive? What if he's not? Will he still remember us? Will he still remember me? All this emanating from looking at a glowing green blanket. All of this might as well be answered once she starts up the machine. Well, guys, we did it. We managed to draw all of the Fentons, including Sam and Taka. Storytelling skills aside, we have made it, and now we engage into the fun part, the ghost designs. But first, we must write down rules of engagement and design rules that we shall be using to approach redesigning all the ghosts. Don't worry, I shall put down polls and so we can help design these ghosts. So all artwork has been posted and will be posted when this video comes out. If you want to participate in the next poll, just pay attention and be active. I post the polls on YouTube, my Twitter, and Instagram. You can also comment on DeviantArt. I shall tally all the votes during the next poll for the characters. Next time, guys. Bye.